It's not too late. You can still start your very own e-commerce store. In this video, I'm going to show you everything you need to do step by step to get some products online and to be able to accept payments via credit card or PayPal. All right, let's get right into it. So I'm going to be using WooCommerce as the foundation for my website because WooCommerce is extensible, which means there's a ton of plugins. There's literally thousands of plugins that I can add to WooCommerce so that I can add more features later on. So today we're just going to be getting products online and so people can buy them, but maybe later on you want to have a subscription service or you want to do online ordering for your local restaurant. All of that is possible with WooCommerce and you don't even have to hire a technician to be able to set it up for you. WooCommerce is actually a WordPress plugin, which means you need to have a host to run the website. I highly recommend Cloudways to people who are getting started with WordPress because they take care of all of the technical stuff for you, but they still give you an immense amount of power. Now, Cloudways did sponsor this video, but I've been recommending them since about 2018, long before I had a YouTube channel and certainly long before I even considered having a sponsor. I'm going to show you exactly how to get started with WooCommerce on Cloudways in just a second, but the only other thing you're going to need to follow along with this video is a domain name. I like to use Namecheap for my domains. Go ahead and grab one right now. It can be anywhere. I will be using the Namecheap interface throughout the video, so if you really want to follow along step by step, you can choose Namecheap as well. All right, so back over to Cloudways. I do have a link in the description and it does help support the channel if you click that before proceeding. So go ahead and click on that link and then click start for free where you can actually go ahead and get signed up for Cloudways. Once you're signed up, you're going to see a screen that looks something like this, where you can go ahead and set up your very own server. A server, don't get overwhelmed by that word. It's simply a computer that is connected 24/7 to the internet and hosts your website. So the software for your website is running on this computer. All right, so we're going to go ahead and choose our application here. Cloudways makes this super easy, so I can just choose WooCommerce, which is going to give me WordPress with WooCommerce already installed. And then they want us to label things. So the application is going to be the actual website that is running, and then the server is the computer that the application is running on. I usually like to name the applications the URLs. So the website that I bought on Namecheap is mavericksandrebels.com. All right, now moving over to the next section, naming the server, this is a little bit more up in the air. If you're going to be hosting multiple websites on your server, which you can do on Cloudways, you might want to give it a more vague name, maybe related to the region that you choose, like if it's in San Francisco or New York, you could do that. What I tend to do for WooCommerce websites, however, is give it a more basic name because I'm not going to install any other websites on this other than my primary e-commerce website. The reason for that is that WooCommerce is power hungry. It needs a lot of resources. So I don't want to clog up this server with other applications running in the background. So what I'll do here is maybe just type out the name of the server. That way I can distinguish between whether I'm working on the server or I'm working on the app. The next step is to choose which provider you want your website to be on. You've got the choice between DigitalOcean, which is actually the parent company for Cloudways, but you can use any of these other providers as well. Some of the biggest websites on the internet use services like AWS and Google Cloud, and here you can take advantage of them without ever having to sign up for your own AWS account. The user interface on AWS is terrifying for non-developers, so I'm glad that I never have to log into that again. I'm going to choose DigitalOcean for my hosting provider here. And next, I'm going to choose the specs for my computer or the power that's available on this server. You can move this little slider around and choose how much power you have. And as you do that, you're going to see the price per month gets updated down here. Now, this is a pretty beefy server. So if you're seeing $160 a month, don't worry, we don't need to start there. The recommendation for WooCommerce is actually this $50 a month plan. However, if you don't have any customers yet and you're just kind of tinkering around with things, you can start a little bit lower. Just know that your site is going to be a lot more prone to break. I recommend going with at least 2 gigabytes and 1 CPU core. If you can spring for the recommended configuration, that is obviously ideal. The other thing I want to point out are these little icons underneath some points on the slider. That is to indicate that they're using faster CPUs. So just like you might get a faster computer, having a faster CPU on your web server means that it'll be able to handle more transactions on your e-commerce store. The price difference is pretty minimal between a 4 GB server with faster cores and a 4 GB server with slower cores. So if you can spend the money, I highly recommend going with the faster core plan. The next option is just to choose the server location. The general rule of thumb here is to choose a location near your customers. There might also be some stipulations with GDPR and privacy laws, so make sure you're up on that in your country. For me, I'm gonna go ahead and choose San Francisco. Next, I'm gonna click Launch Now and go brew some coffee because it's gonna take about 7 minutes for this server to spin up. All right, my server is up and running and I'm ready to connect my domain name up to this brand new server that has spun up. Now I need to get a little bit of information here, which is the IP address. So what I'm actually gonna do is click on the server name, which is gonna take me into the server, and then I can grab right here where it says public IP. Just click once and it copies it to your clipboard. Then head over to Namecheap where you bought your domain name. In your account, you're gonna look for the Manage button. You can see my domain name is actually about to expire. So I'm gonna click right here and go to Manage. The next step I need to take is to click up here where it says Advanced DNS. And at this point, if there's any existing records that you're not using, maybe this is a brand new domain, you can just go ahead and clear them out. We don't want to have any duplicate records. However, if you are using this domain name for something else, be very careful before you delete any records because you could lose access to your existing website or to your email. So what I want to do here is go ahead and add a new record, and I need an A record. I'm going to put an @ symbol under host, and under value, I'm just going to paste in the IP address that I got from Cloudways. Leave the last section alone where it says TTL and hit the check mark. Now we're gonna do one more DNS setting for right now, which is to go ahead and enable a www redirect. This way, when people try to go to your website, it won't matter if they type the www or not. So here we're just gonna add a new CNAME record, and the host is gonna be www, and the value will be the name of your website. So in my case, it's mavericksandrebels.com. Again, hitting the green check mark, and we're all set. All right, this is half of what we need to do to set up our domain name. Now we need to go back over to Cloudways and tell them about the changes we made. So I'll click over my Cloudways account, and now we're gonna switch into managing the application. You can see here, we're at the server level, which is like the operating system for the computer, but we need to get into that application level. To do that on Cloudways is fairly simple. In fact, we've got quite a few options. I can click applications up here in the top menu, or I can click over here where it has the www icon. I'm gonna click right there and I get a list of applications. I only have one installed here and I'll choose my website. Now from the left-hand sidebar, I'm gonna go to Domain Management and I'll type in my website address right here. Hit Save Changes, and you can see it's updating the primary domain name. So basically Cloudways is gonna be looking out for traffic from that website. All right, that's all done. The next thing I want to do is add an SSL certificate. That's gonna give me that nice padlock on the URL bar. It's also gonna keep the traffic to my website nice and secure. All right, so to do that, super easy on Cloudways, we'll go to SSL certificate in the left-hand sidebar, and then simply type in your email address in the email address field. This is just gonna be a notification in case something goes wrong with the SSL certificate in the future. That's where they will be emailing you. So make sure you put a good one in there. All right, domain name will be our website one more time. I'm gonna do it without the www. If you followed along with me, you'll wanna do that as well. All right, and then domain name will be the domain name where we registered our website. For me, it's mavericksandrebels.com. And then we'll click Install Certificate. All right, there we go. The SSL certificate has been installed successfully. It's time to test out our website. So I'm just gonna type in the name of the website into my browser. And there we go, it's working, and it's ugly. It's a default WordPress website, which I think is hideous. I don't know why they don't fix that, but I digress. The good news is everything is installed and ready to go. We can start building our site. All right, now how are we gonna take care of this ugly website? Well, it's with a brand new theme. I like to use the Astra theme for e-commerce, and luckily enough, I swear this is just a coincidence, they've done a deal with Cloudways, which gives you access to their pro version, the premium version of Astra, absolutely free for an entire year if you're using Cloudways. To get that set up inside of Cloudways, click on this grid of boxes up here. This is where you find all of the add-ons that are available inside of Cloudways. Then click on add-ons and go down to right here where it says Astra Pro. You can see right now I have it disabled on my account, but that's because I've already bought Astra Pro. If you want to use Astra Pro for free, try it out for a year. Then it's gonna be $4 a month and you can use it on unlimited sites. Just click the subscribe button right here. After you click subscribe, Astra is going to send you an email with a login to their dashboard where you can download a full license version of Astra Pro. All right, let's log into the website for the very first time so we can get Astra installed and we can start making some adjustments. To get access to the backend where you can do some of the editing of the site, you're going to click on your applications and then go into your website. And you can see right here that Cloudways provides us the login credentials in a very, very easy manner. So I can click here to open up the login window, but I'm also going to need my username and password. So for me, I can remember my email address, but I'm going to click right here to copy the password. Then I'll click on the URL to open up the login window, then just type in my email address and I will paste in my password. All right, there we go. I'm on the back end of WordPress. Now I'm going to be showing you some of the high-end technical things that Cloudways does to really make your WooCommerce site sparkle and run super fast and secure a little bit later on in the video. So if you just want to get up and going, we're going to be ready to go with most of the stuff that's important in just a few moments, but stay tuned to the end and you'll really get your site dialed in. So the very first thing I'm going to do is switch themes. So let's go to Appearance and then Themes. And then click right up here where it says Add New. Astra is always at the top of the popular themes, so you can usually find it right there. But if for some reason you can't, just go ahead and type Astra in right over here in the search box. There's always a bunch of knockoffs like Astral. Give me a break. All right, I'm going to install Astra and then activate it. Okay, if we look at our site now, it already looks quite a bit different. I wouldn't say it looks good, but at least that weird little illustration is gone. So let's go back into our admin panel, just hit the back arrow on my browser, and I'm going to install Astra Pro, which I got the link from the email when I opted in over on Cloudways. So if you didn't get that yet, go back to that part of the video and turn on that add-on. To install Astra Pro, just go over to Plugins, Add New, and then Upload Plugin. Now I've already got it zipped up in my downloads folder here, so I'm just going to drag it right over to the choose file icon and then hit install now. Next, we'll activate the plugin. And then next up, we're just going to enter in our serial number that you got from Astra in your email. So I'll click on the activate option here and then enter in the license key that they provided you. All right, there we go. I've got my Astra Pro license activated. Hopefully you do as well. So let's begin configuring Astra for our WooCommerce store. What I want to do to begin with is turn on most of these settings. So I'm going to turn on colors and background. This is basically just going to give us some more options when we're editing our theme. I'll turn on typography, spacing, blog pro. Nav menu I'm going to leave off for right now, but if you are curious about what any of these things do, you can just click on the name of the item and it'll pop you over to a help guide over on the Astra website. So for example, the nav menu item is to create one of those mega menus with lots and lots of items in it. A lot of e-commerce stores actually use these, so you might want to as your store grows, but to begin, I don't think it's necessary. I will turn on the sticky header as well as site layouts. And if you like the little scroll to the top icon, you can turn that on as well. One thing I noticed here is that WooCommerce is currently deactivated on this site, so I need to turn that on. All right, so I'm gonna head over to plugins and then scroll to the bottom and turn on WooCommerce. When you activate WooCommerce, it's going to take you through a setup wizard. It's just going to ask you some questions about your business. Let's do that now together so we make sure we answer all of the questions in the right way. First of all, just go ahead and enter your address in. This will be the address that's shown to your customers, so make sure it's one that's okay to be public. Now, one complaint I have about this setup wizard is it's riddled with traps. They're trying to get you to sign up for their newsletter, buy certain products, install additional plugins. We're not going to need any of that. So I'm going to turn off the tips and MailChimp newsletter thing right here and hit continue. Next, they ask if you want to do user tracking. Sometimes I opt in for stuff like this, but with WooCommerce, I'm going to say no thanks. Next is a rather harmless question. What industry do you work in? I'm going to choose fashion and apparel since I will be building a t-shirt shop. And I'm going to be doing physical products, so I'm just going to leave this checked. All right, now there are two tabs in this section of the setup wizard. We've got our business details and then the free features. All right, so this is where we need to be careful. How many products do you plan to display? This doesn't really matter. Just choose anything you want. I'm going to do 1 to 10 right now. Are you currently selling anywhere else? No, I am not. All right, I'm going to hit continue. And now it's asking about the free business features. Notice that by default, everything is hidden. They're just saying like, yeah, add this to my site. We're going to go ahead and just look at all of these things that they're trying to install. We don't need any of them. So check this box and uninstall them, or don't uninstall them. Don't let them install this stuff on your website. Of course, you could easily remove it if you didn't do this. It would just show up in the plugins list. And if something here actually looks pretty good to you, you can come back and grab it later. But for our purposes today, we're going to keep things nice and trim. Next, they want you to choose a theme. We've already chosen our theme, which is Astra. So let's continue with my active theme. All right, and now we're done with the initial part of the setup wizard, but I want to go back to where I was before the setup wizard interrupted me, which was setting up Astra. Under Appearance, Astra Options, that's where we were working before. We turned on all of these options, and the one that wasn't available to us was WooCommerce. I'm going to toggle that on now. Now, if for some reason your site came with WooCommerce already installed, you will see a banner at the top of the screen asking you to go through the setup wizard that I just did. So don't feel too lost. Everything will be available to you. You'll still want to turn on the WooCommerce settings with Astra Pro. All right, so let's orient ourselves inside of the WordPress admin section. So the left-hand sidebar here has some WooCommerce options in it now. You can see all of the products and the analytics for your sales, as well as create coupons and things like that under marketing. What we want to start off with is just adding some products. So I'm going to go under products and then add new. Here's that banner that I was talking about before. Trust me, it's relentless. It's not going to go away until we finish the setup. But let's continue on adding some products. I'm going to add a few t-shirts here. I'll just give this a name. Then I'll enter in a product description here in this big blank canvas. Then we'll scroll down and we'll get some more WooCommerce options. Here we can assign a price. If I want to put the shirt on sale, I can do that, and I can even schedule the sale for certain dates. Now, if I wanted to get more detailed, there's some tabs over here for things like inventory and shipping. So you can track inventory and you can even integrate with shipping partners right from WooCommerce. Although that's a bit outside of this initial video, this beginner video. If you want to see more content like that, make sure you leave me a comment down below. I'll enter a short product description. And then over in the right-hand sidebar here, we're not done. We want to add some more information. I'm going to add a new product category, and I'm going to call this one t-shirts. Another way to organize products inside of WooCommerce is to use tags. So categories are great for broad things like maybe shirts, or you could even get subcategories like baby doll shirts or athletic cut shirts. But sometimes you want to tag things a little bit more specifically. So in this case, I'm going to upload a shirt with some skulls on it. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a tag of skulls. That way I can not create its own product category, but people could still search and find relevant groups of products based on the tags that are applied. The next thing I'm going to do is add a product image here. I can set the product image by clicking right here, and then I'll just upload the image from my computer. There we go. There is my skulls t-shirt. Looking pretty good. All right, I'm gonna hit publish and we're gonna see what this product looks like. All right, so right here, there's a link to view the product. If you get a little disoriented or you haven't made an update, but you still wanna see the product, you can click on the permalink right here. They're gonna go to the same page. All right, so this is what our product page looks like right now. It's really not too bad. Of course, we're gonna customize it and make it look a lot better, but it looks good. I can hover over the image to zoom in. I can also blow it up into a modal, and I can add it to my cart. Of course, we haven't set up any sort of payment processor yet, so that's still to come. Going out to the front end of my website isn't any more attractive. It's still just this header, so we'll have to figure that out as well. In the meantime, I'm gonna add just a few more t-shirts so we have some products in our store to work with. I'm gonna fast forward through this, but I'll see you in a second. All right, now that I've got some products added, let's go ahead and style the site. I'm gonna go back to the front end here and view the site. And there's a customize button right here. That is what I wanna click. That is how we edit our theme, essentially. We use Astra to make the site look good. Now, the first thing I wanna do is just make the homepage be all of the products, because I wanna be able to see a kind of nice blob grid of all of the products that I have available. So I'm gonna go down here to where it says homepage settings, and I'll set a static page, and it's going to be the shop page is what I'm gonna choose. That's gonna update here, and now I can see all of the products in one go. Now, if your website has other things on it, you might not want to set your shop page as the home page. You can certainly do a regular old landing page here as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is change the overall look and feel of the website. That's going to include the header section, which I think is really an eyesore. But I think in general, I just want all of the buttons and everything to just look a little bit more on brand. So I'm going to go to the global section here and choose typography. That's going to allow me to change the fonts that you see across the entire website. I highly recommend taking some time and thinking about the fonts that you want to use before you have a lot of content on your website. That way you can set some global defaults and you don't need to be fiddling with the fonts every time you add new elements to pages. Astra does a really nice job here of giving us some presets. So we can go with something like this Rubik and Carla preset. And you're going to see all of the fonts are updating. Here is the DM serif display / work sans. Of course, you don't have to use these presets that come with Astra. I just find them rather handy to get going. If you already have brand fonts for your company, just head down here where you can set up the body font, the headings font, or even get more specific if you're familiar with CSS and HTML. You can set up a default H1 font, so on and so forth. These will just be the default fonts. You can always go in and override them as you build out your website. So I'm going to go with this Barlow semi-condensed and Roboto combo. And then I'm going to go back out and I actually want to change the look of just the logo up here. So I can click into the logo and I can change the overall typography of just this logo. There's a design section right here and I can go into the font and I'm going to choose Architect's Daughter. That's just a Google font that I'm aware of. It has a nice handwritten look to it. I do feel like it's a little bit large, so I'm going to reduce this to say a size 22. All right, heading back over to the general section, I'm going to just write out Mavericks and Rebels because I feel like this is a little bit hard to read. There we go. That looks a little bit nicer. And I would like to change the color of this typography, but you know what? I'd like to change the color of a lot of this typography. So what we can actually do is set up some defaults there. I'm going to hit the back arrows here. It takes me back to this kind of main section of our editor, and I'm going to look for global and then colors. Now here's our global palette. You can see this blue color is used throughout the site. I'm not a huge fan of it, so I'm going to go ahead and choose a new color here. I'm going to go with this nice kind of orange color. And you can see from changing that one global color, all of my buttons have changed their color and the nav items up here at the top have also changed their color. All right, the site is looking better. I still don't think it looks great. I'm gonna make a few more changes here to the general appearance of it, and then we'll get into some specifics about how WooCommerce works before setting up our payment gateways. So one thing I'd like to do is change the logo here, or just the typography. If you have an actual logo, by the way, you could certainly upload that because this is kind of a mock company. I didn't actually get a designer to make a logo, but I'm gonna give this a little bit more pizzazz by just simply changing the color. So I'll click right here and that'll take me to the logo design section. Actually, it's to the general section. The tab right next to it is for design. And I'm gonna choose one of my global colors here, which is that orange color. All right, I think that's looking pretty nice. However, I don't like that all of my nav items are that same color. So I'm gonna change that next. I'm gonna take the same process for these nav items. I'm gonna click on the main nav and then I'll go to the design tab. And here I can set some colors. So I want this to be a nice dark color, and then the hover color can actually be the orange color. So now we're kind of inversed everything. I think that looks pretty good. All right, the next thing I want to change is the button text color. I like the orange buttons, but I would like to have white text. How do we do that? Let's go to global buttons, and here are all the options for the buttons. Text color, I'm going to set to be white, and then when you hover over it, it's changing to black because that was the default. So I'm actually going to change that to white as well. All right, there we go. I think that looks quite nice for a buy button. So I encourage you to spend a little bit of time dialing in your colors and your typography, but I am going to head along to the WooCommerce settings. Here we're going to see the real power of Astra Pro plus WooCommerce. So from the main page of the customizer, just click on WooCommerce, and we're going to start not on general, but in the product catalog, because that is the page we're looking at right here. The shop page is the product catalog. So we've got some options to begin our overall layout. So right now we are in the default container, which is essentially a boxed design. So these two are going to look virtually identical. The other option we have, which you're probably going to like, is a full width container. This will take away that gray space on the sides and just make everything edge to edge. I like how that looks. I'm going to go with that design. The next option is the sidebar layout. You can go ahead and turn off the sidebar if you want, or you can have it be on the left side or the right side. So here, there would be a sidebar right here, and now there would be a sidebar on the right. However, I'm going to leave it at the default, which is off. In the next section, we have the option to change the card design. So each one of these items here per product is going to be considered a card. So you can toggle between a few of the different presets here. You can see this is a different little sale tag there, or we can go to design number 3, which has everything in more of a list. So right now I have 4 columns. Maybe I make that just 1, and you'll see how this design looks quite a bit different. So this is more of a scroll through type of design. Here's the original design with just one column. It doesn't look quite as good. Because I have 3 products, I'm going to choose the 3-column layout. I think that looks pretty good. I can toggle here to see what it looks like in mobile responsive. So this is a tablet view, and then here it is on phone. I think on phone, I prefer a single item, so I can change that here. It will only affect phone. If I go back out to desktop, we are at 3. Some other things I would like to change are everything basically before the product. I don't want to see any of this. The shop title, that's the page title, how many results they found, the sorting, that all needs to go. So I'm going to scroll down until we get to the section right here where we can see the results count. I'm going to turn that off. It will disappear right there. Then I'm going to turn off sorting, and then I'm going to turn off the page title. All right, good. That's how I want it, nice and bare bones. Of course, as my store grows, the categorization and the sorting options become more important. But if you're starting off with just a few products, which you should do in most cases, then having a nice clean look is probably going to be easier for your site visitors. You know, I was just thinking this header would look really good with a dark background. I'm going to click here on the pencil icon, go over to design, choose the background, and I'll choose almost a black color here. Now what's happened is we've lost our navigation items. So I'll click on the navigation items, go to design, and change the text links to be white. So updating your site can happen really, really quickly. You can do it almost on a whim. And if you like the changes, you can publish it live to your site right now. Now, I don't recommend rushing any design decisions. I just wanted to point out that if it feels like I'm moving kind of slow, you don't have to. You can move as quickly as you want or take as much time as you want. All right, 2 more things I want to change, which is the items in the menu here. I don't want to see all of those. I'll show you how to edit your own navigation. And then the footer, it's got some text in here that I just simply don't want to see. So let's make those changes happen now. We'll start off with the menu. I'm going to click here to go to the little pencil, and I can see that there's no menu assigned. This is just kind of WordPress's default options. They're just dumping every page on your site into your menu. So let's go ahead and configure a menu. Over on the left-hand sidebar, it says configure menu here. I'll click that. And I'm going to choose to create a new menu. I'll call it primary nav. And it's going to go in the primary menu location, which is this area right up here. Next, we'll press next. And now we need to add some items to our menu. So I'll press add items. I'll choose shop, my account, and cart. And let's hit publish. Now, truth be told, I really don't even need the shop item up here on my nav bar, but you might, because you might be building out a complete website that doesn't have shop as its homepage. This is just like a merch site, right? For maybe a creator or someone who's just working on some designs. So what I'm going to do is actually remove this because it's the only page on the site. So I'm going to go ahead and click over here on shop and then go down to remove. And now it's going to disappear from my navigation. I don't like how my account is lowercase, so I'm going to click into this and I can change the navigation label right here. There we go. That looks a lot better to my eyes. All right, I've hit publish here to save my changes, and then I'm going to scroll down to the footer area. I want to update some of this language just because I don't like how it says powered by Astra. No offense, Astra, you're a great theme, but I don't need to advertise you to all of my customers. So I'm just going to get rid of this section here that says powered by theme author. Press delete and go ahead and hit publish. There we go. I've just got a nice copyright message here at the bottom. Now there is quite an elaborate header and footer builder built into Astra. So if you want to link to things like your refund policy or your terms and conditions, privacy policies, things like that, it's very easy to add additional items to your footer. Just click on the little pencil icon here. Then the builder will pop up. I just hid mine, so I have to click here where it says show builder, and you can simply drag and drop more items in. So for example, if above the copyright area, I wanted to have a link to the return policy, I could do that. I would simply click this little plus button, then I'll choose the button, probably will work good, and I can give it a link over to my return policy, which I haven't created yet, but let's just go with it. In this case, I don't want it to really look very much like a button, so I'll give it a text color of, let's go with it, the dark text color and a background color of transparent. So I'm going to move this slider all the way to the left, and now if I go ahead and publish it, hide the builder, I've got a nice return policy link right here. All right, everything's looking pretty good on this main shop page. Let's go one layer deeper and look at the individual product pages. I'm gonna click on a product right from inside the customizer, and here is what our product pages look like. You can see it's got a different layout because I just changed the layout for the shop page. I didn't change the layout for the individual page. So let's go back out to the main level of the customizer, go to WooCommerce, And at this point, I could have started a little bit more universal to keep with my theme from earlier and gone into general and changed the layout of all WooCommerce pages to be full width. That would probably have been a better move, but you can have some independence here. So if you want your product pages to be boxed and have a different background color, you can do that and then have the main category pages be more full width. I'm gonna move backwards one level here in the customizer and let's go to the single product options. Here you're gonna see those options we saw before, which you can play with. And then we've got the gallery options. The gallery options are gonna be if you have multiple images for any one product. I only have one image per t-shirt because I literally just grab these images off of the internet. They're not real products. But if you do have a lot of images, which I recommend, more images means more sales, you'll have a few different templates here to start with for different layouts. If you don't like the zoom effect when you hover over an image, you can easily turn that off with this toggle switch. And you can change how big the image is on the page with this slider right here. And just like we saw on the shop page, you can toggle off certain elements of the design. So in this case, I don't need to show the category because everything we sell is t-shirts. So I'm gonna turn off the category right here, and now that's gone. In fact, I don't need this breadcrumb either because we've got so few items, it's not necessary. If you have a larger site, it's great to have breadcrumbs so users can see exactly where they're at. But again, this is only a few products, so we don't need those on. Scrolling down to the bottom, you can see we have some related products here. I really like that, but if for some reason you want to turn them off, you can definitely do that with this little toggle switch. And a super fancy feature that I love is this sticky add to cart. When I turn this on, it's gonna add this add to cart button to the top of the screen. So no matter where I'm scrolling, if I'm reading reviews, I'll always have a buy button within reach. I think that's awesome for conversion. It's something you'd normally have to pay extra for an extension or a developer to come in and do that if you wanted it custom, and Astra just throws it right in. So that's super cool. All right, here's the site. I'm pretty happy with how it looks. The only thing that's missing is the ability to accept payments. You can see I can add something to the cart and I can view my cart and I can go ahead and proceed to checkout. And when I get here, there's no way to give them money. So we need to fix that and we need to do it in a hurry. We're gonna click on the site title up here, which will take us back into the admin dashboard. And then we're gonna go to plugins, add new. We're gonna add two payment processors, Stripe, which is the most popular way to accept credit cards. And I'll type in Stripe. Here is the one we're gonna install. Install now and activate. And then back over to plugins, add new, we will search for PayPal. And here's the one we want, WooCommerce PayPal payments. We'll install and activate. So now we're over inside of WooCommerce settings and then payments, and we need to actually set up our accounts over on Stripe and PayPal. Now I'm gonna assume for the point of this video that you already have accounts with both PayPal and Stripe, and they should be business accounts in the case of PayPal. Go ahead and get those set up right now if you don't already have them in place. So I'm gonna set up Stripe first because I think it's just a smidge easier. I'm gonna go down here and look at just the main Stripe listing, and I'm gonna toggle this on. And then I'm gonna click right here where it says create or connect an account. I'll log into Stripe, and then you simply click connect, and then Stripe is gonna redirect you back over to your WooCommerce instance, and you should be good to go. All right, there we go. We can see that Stripe is enabled and we can actually accept payments right now. There's one other setting you might want to add, and that is the webhooks. It gives you a little URL right here. So just copy this and then go over to your Stripe account settings. And then under webhooks, hit add endpoint. Paste in that URL and then choose all events, add events, and then click add endpoint. All right, there you go. And what this basically does is allows Stripe to talk back to WooCommerce and just keep you updated on payment status. One thing I really like about Stripe is that it's going to allow you to accept Apple Pay and Google Pay right on your website. So make sure this box is checked. You can customize it with a few options right here, but in general, it's ready to go right after you sign up. All right, next let's set up PayPal. So I'm gonna go back into the payment section here. You can see that PayPal is kind of nagging me to connect my account, but I'm just gonna go ahead and find the option down here at the bottom. I'm gonna toggle this on, and that's gonna kick me over into the PayPal setup section. This is very similar to how we set up Stripe. I've just seen more problems setting up PayPal than I have Stripe, where simply logging in doesn't work. So I'm gonna activate PayPal right here. It's gonna open up a modal box where I can actually just log into my business PayPal account. I'll hit agree and connect. And there's a little survey here. I'm just gonna close this out and go back to WooCommerce. All right, my PayPal account is now connected. I'm going to click on standard payments next, and I'm just going to enable this PayPal gateway. That's going to allow people to use PayPal with pay later and other alternative payment types. And let's go to the very bottom and save these changes. And now we're back out on the front end and let's make a purchase. So I think this octopus shirt looks awesome. I'm going to click this little cart icon there and I can go to the cart section. Looks like I accidentally have 2 of those in there, probably from browsing previously. I'm going to hit the negative button. You can see that this is all working flawlessly. I've got the option to proceed to checkout or use PayPal or Venmo. Of course, Venmo is owned by PayPal. So that's really nice to see those buttons there. It makes the site even just look more official, right? You saw we set this up from the very beginning. We've got a very legit looking e-commerce site. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here. You can see the Stripe information because I chose to pay with a credit card. We're ready to go. I do have the option here still to go to PayPal so that you're not locked out. You can switch. All right, so the site looks excellent. It is ready to receive payments. However, I don't consider it finished yet because we need to make sure it's running as fast and securely as possible. So for that, we're gonna dip back over into Cloudways and I'm gonna show you some of their fancy features that will keep your site running flawlessly. The first thing I wanna talk about is Cloudflare. Now, Cloudflare is something that I use on every single website that I build. But what I love about Cloudways is that they give you Cloudflare Enterprise, which is like several $100s per month. It's cost prohibitive for just about every business out there. So I'm gonna go ahead and choose Cloudflare right here, and it gives me step-by-step directions on how to turn this on. So I just type in the URL of the website. While I'm waiting for Cloudflare to get configured on my Cloudways website, that's a tongue twister, I want to tell you a little bit about what Cloudflare actually does, because it does quite a few things here. So first of all, it's a CDN. It's going to make sure that your content is delivered quickly, so your web pages load super fast, no matter where in the world people are located while they're shopping on your site. Next, it's secure. It's going to add something called DDoS mitigation. That basically means that if a bunch of angry hackers try to take down your site by sending bots at it, they're going to make sure that it doesn't go down. Cloudflare is going to mitigate those attacks. Now, a firewall is similar in terms of it's providing security for your website, but this is going to be about blocking known threats. Now, Cloudflare, being absolutely huge, is analyzing 32 million requests per second so that they can identify attackers. So it's really great to have a service like this on your side without having to pay a ton extra. You can see it's only $5 a month for Cloudflare, and I highly recommend tacking that on to your bill. It's gonna be definitely well worth it. It does a ton of other stuff too, like it'll automatically optimize your images. So if you have one person on your team who uploads like 10 megabyte images to your e-commerce store, well, Cloudflare will make sure they're delivered in a much smaller file size so your site doesn't slow down. All right, so here's how you set up Cloudflare. It's super easy. We're simply going to add some records to our DNS settings. So there's 2 of them here. I've got a name and then a value. So we're gonna go, these first and then this one. And I'll show you exactly what to do. I'm gonna copy right here. I'll go over to Namecheap where we were working before. If you close that tab, don't worry, just open it up again. I'm gonna create a new record. This time, I'm gonna scroll to the bottom and I'm gonna choose a text record. The first value goes into the host setting, back over to Cloudways, and then the next one is the value, and that's gonna go in the value setting. Again, making sure to click the check mark, and we'll repeat this process with the other option. Add another text record, @ symbol, the value, paste it in, hit the check mark. Now we'll go back over to Cloudways and say next. So next, they're gonna try to verify your domain. It says it could take up to 24 hours. In my experience, it goes much faster than that. So whenever you get the chance, just hit that little refresh button over there and it might already be done. All right, so mine didn't go the very first time, but it did go the second. Here it says domain not live, which looks like I still am waiting for them to do something, but I'm not. Here I have to click on view A records, and it's basically one more entry we need to put into our Namecheap. So I'm gonna click here on the value for the first IP address. You can see there's 2 different IP addresses here. Then I'm gonna go back over to Namecheap, and remember that first record we set up here? Well, we're gonna get rid of that now. We don't actually have to delete it. We're just gonna update the value, and I'm gonna hit the check mark. Now I will add another A record with the exact same host, so the @ symbol, and I'm gonna go back to Cloudways, grab the second IP address, and paste it in there. And then I'm at the check mark, and I should be good to go at this point. I'm gonna hit done, and I will hit this little reload button one more time. Now it's probably not going to work yet because it says it hasn't propagated yet. So I need to wait just a few more minutes and then everything will be set up with Cloudflare. All right, well, I'm waiting for Cloudflare to verify with Cloudways. Let's go ahead and talk about page caching, because you see right here in the listing, full page caching is coming soon from Cloudflare. Now, what does that mean? Because that's one of the more technical things we've talked about. Well, page caching is simply making sure that your server isn't overworking. It's making sure that if something's already been done by the server, it can just reuse its work. So page caching is very important to making sure that your site runs quickly, and Cloudflare actually is one of the best page caches out there. So I'm super excited for this to come to Cloudways. However, right now we've got the free Breeze plugin installed and running on our website. You'll find this right under your plugins. You'll see settings Breeze right here. It's inside of the plugins, already activated, ready to go for you. You don't really need to do much here. You can pretty much leave it as is. It's configured to work right out of the box. However, if you want to kind of go through some of the options, you can certainly. Something that I like to do occasionally is to exclude pages from caching. So under advanced options here, there's this never cache URLs section where you can go ahead and just make sure a page never gets cached. Maybe you're doing something on it that you know is dynamic and needs to be redrawn every single time. I think that's a nice feature to have right on the back end of the website. All right, I'm gonna hit reload here one more time, and we can see we're active with Cloudflare. So that is super cool. I've now got a CDN, a managed firewall, DDoS protection, mobile optimization, as well as image optimization. All right, but there's one more type of caching that I wanna talk about, and this is even nerdier. This is Redis object management caching. So Redis is a type of caching that works at the server level. What it's going to do is actually make the back end of your website feel faster. So, as you're browsing through, you might have a slow shared hosting experience right now, and you might be looking at how quickly the menu items are loading here. That's thanks to Redis. Redis makes sure everything flies on the back end. That's also going to affect your end users when they're checking out. It's going to make sure checkouts work faster. This plugin that comes with Cloudways is normally $950 a year. So it's cheaper to move to Cloudways than it is to just buy this plugin. So I don't know why you wouldn't do that. That's awesome. Again, this is another plugin you don't really need to fiddle with, but it's there if you need it. So go under settings and then we can go to Object Cache. This is Object Cache Pro and it's connected, ready to go. You can see some stats over here. This is optimized to work with WooCommerce. There is a free version of Redis, which works really good as well, but this is the Pro version, which has got some tweaks to make WooCommerce specifically really, really fly. All right, let's talk about backups. Cloudways has got you covered. We're in the server section here. I'm gonna go into my server. We haven't spent much time in the server. That's because you don't really need to deal with managing your server. However, the server backups in Cloudways are phenomenal. We can set this to be whatever frequency we want. So if you have a high traffic WooCommerce site, you want it to back up every single hour, you can do that. It will save those backups for an entire week. Now, this is not free. It's gonna save them off site, so that it's not clogging up your local server. I think this is a good setting to leave disabled. Local backups off. Get those off-site onto another server someplace else. If you have less traffic on your WooCommerce site, you can certainly change this to be maybe once a day or twice a day, whatever you like, and then save that 1 week retention. In fact, you can go as much as 4 weeks retention if you want. The more backups you save and the longer you keep those backups, the higher your backup bill will be. However, it's very affordable. You can see here, it's just a few cents per gigabyte, and then they round up to the closest 50-cent increment. So $3.85 will be $4, so on and so forth. Now, of course, with Cloudways, it's your server. You can install any other backup plugins that you want. However, I do really like their offsite backup solution. If you're about to make any big changes to your website, I should mention that they also have a Take Backup Now button. So if you're going to update a plugin or WordPress itself and you want to make sure your site doesn't go down for long, you can always click this button right here before updating your stuff. All right, next I want to talk about emails. So your server needs to be able to send emails. I'm back inside of Cloudways and I'm gonna go to the add-ons here. And what we want to choose is Elastic Email. This is the transactional email service to make sure that things like your receipts from your WooCommerce site go out on time, password resets, welcome messages, all of that gets sent out to your users. You can set this up at a server level on Cloudways with just a couple of clicks. So here it's going to be 10 cents a month. I'm now subscribed to Elastic Email, and all of my emails will go out properly from my website. Of course, you can use any provider you want. You can use a dedicated plugin if you've already got a setup you like, but for beginners, this is awesome. You're ready to go, no trouble at all. So once you're subscribed, what you're gonna do is go back out to the server level here, choose your server and go down to SMTP, and then you can choose Elastic Email and hit enable. This will enable server-wide sending through your Elastic Email account. You don't need to do anything else. There are some options to verify your DNS, which I highly recommend doing. Back in the add-on section here, we can go to Elastic Email and click on the little shield where we can enter in some SPF information to make sure we verify our sending. That is ideal for making sure your deliverability is good. But all in all, the sending solution couldn't be easier through Cloudways and Elastic Email with their integration. All right, let's talk about scaling. Let's say a big sale is coming up and you want to make sure that your website is ready to handle it. Well, scaling up on Cloudways is super easy. We can go into our server here and choose vertical scaling. This looks just like our sign up screen where I can move the little slider. Now, the only thing is I can't go backwards, right? If I try to go lower, it's going to tell me you have to clone your server. You can't downscale because it already has more resources allocated to it. So it can't shrink in size, but it can grow in size because it's easier to add more than it is to take resources away. So I can simply scale this up as high as I want. The most expensive server on Cloudways is currently over $1,000. Hopefully you get there. Hopefully that means that your website is crushing and making millions of dollars per month. I do want to talk about the billing on Cloudways because you can see that this is hourly. So unlike a lot of hosting providers, Cloudways doesn't lock you into a 2 or 3 year agreement and then jack up the rates. Instead, they charge you an hourly rate, meaning after I'm done making this tutorial, I can kill this server and it's only going to cost me, about 14 cents, a few hours to have made this video. So that's amazing. Now you can test ideas. You can spin up a server for a month and see if anyone wants to buy that product. And if they don't, you can move on to the next idea. You're not locked into any sort of long-term hosting agreement where you don't know if your business will even be around in a year. Why would you pay a year of hosting in advance? All right, back to upgrading your server. How do you know when you want to upgrade your server? Is it just you're anticipating a lot of traffic? What if it doesn't come? What do you do? Well, there's actually some really great monitoring built in here. We can click over on monitoring under server management, and it's going to give us some information about how much of the server is really being used. So as this loads, I'm going to tell you each of the stats and what I look for to decide whether it's time to upgrade. So first of all, just the layout. We've got the summary here, which I think is great, but we can get more details by clicking on the detail section. And then if you're a super technician and you really want to have the utmost detail, you can use New Relic. We're not going to get into that in this video. Let's look at the summary. So right now we're using 678 megabytes of RAM out of almost 4 gigabytes. So we're good there. There's not a lot of usage. In the details section, what I'm going to look for, if I click on RAM, what we're looking for is if this number here is below 100, we're going to need to upgrade. In fact, on something like a 4 gig server, if you're below 100, you are really, really burning the midnight oil. You need to upgrade your server very quickly. You can see here we're running with plenty of room. We've got over 3,000 megabytes of free memory. For CPU usage, same type of deal. We want to look for around 80% would be kind of my guideline. I'm not sure what they're going to say here. Let's click on details and go to CPU. And here they're saying if it's below 10%, 10 to 20. So we agree, Cloudways and I agree on when it's time to upgrade our CPU. Here the CPU is sitting almost completely idle because I don't have any traffic going to it. But if you get a lot of traffic, you might see this number take a steep dive and it'll be time to upgrade at that point. So hopefully this video has given you everything you need and more to start your very own e-commerce website. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel and leave me a comment down below and let me know if you found this video helpful. I'll see you in the next one.